So, to give you guys some context, Neeraj, of course, has built out CoinDCX and currently building Octo. So Neeraj, just for the benefit of the audience, if you can just give them a brief intro about, what are you guys up to? What has been happening in CoinDCX in Octo?
Right. So we started CoinDCX in 2018, right? And back then, uh, on-chain activity was limited to crypto deposits and withdrawals, like sending crypto from one address to another address. That's all. Uh, but now the technology has matured enough to the extent that a normal person can start using blockchain-based applications, not just do crypto transfers, but start using blockchain-based applications.
So a lot more on-chain activity, a lot of different kinds of on-chain activity.
Yes, on-chain activity is the most important fundamental metric. Whenever you evaluate any industry, you see some fundamentals. कि इसके fundamentals क्या है? Technicals तो बढ़िया है, but what about the fundamentals? The most important fundamentals of our industry is how many people are using blockchain-based applications. True. That is the most basic fundamentals. And let me give you one stats. 400 million investors are there globally in crypto. 400 million log. If you if you add the user base of exchanges globally, Coinbase, Binance, CoinDCX, CoinSwitch, and globally, that's a rough estimate, 400 million. But people who are using the applications, the blockchain-based applications who are on-chain, who are actually building the fundamentals, that's just 15 million.
Okay.
So 400 million people have invested in something जिसको सिर्फ 15 million लोग use कर रहे हैं. Right? So it's a very big gap, right? And that's one of the major things we want to solve.
Awesome. So I'm just going to take a quick, couple of steps back. And, for those of you who are probably not aware, I had the wonderful privilege of working together with CoinDCX, and we sort of tried to build this together. I remember, since the time I joined CoinDCX, you always had ambitions, international expansion ambitions, right? CoinDCX always wanted to be an international exchange, so to say, back then. Can you tell us a little bit about that journey from being an India-based exchange that wanted to expand internationally and then slowly then transitioning into a Web3 wallet? So what was that journey all about?
When Sumit and I, we were there in our Mumbai flat, in our hall, and trying to figure out how to start this company. We never thought कि कुछ international वगैरह कुछ होगा कभी ऐसा कुछ करना होगा or all of that, right? We never even thought about that. The only objective was to build a great company from India. In 2017, on the one hand, we could see global exchanges and the global development force, huge number of developers in the global community in Web3. Web3 was not a terminology back then, but on blockchain. And if you compare the technology of India versus the global industry, there was a big gap. And India was lagging way behind. मतलब इस तरीके की जो conferences होती थी उसमें बहुत कम लोग आते थे. Right. That's an indicator. Right. And we used to go into these small rooms where Web3 and blockchain conferences used to happen. And that was the days. And our only mission was to build something beautiful and powerful from India. Nice. That India should not lag behind in such a powerful technology. At least we have to build great and amazing products, and we have to lead it from the front. And that's what we are focused on. And today, I think Indian industry has matured enough. All of us combined, we can build products which we can sell outside India as well. and we are seeing that happening. This has never happened before.
So are you saying that the industry took time to Indian industry, the Indian ecosystem, the developers took sort of time to sort of come to this point where now they're ready to face the world?
Yeah, the industry has matured a lot because the number of developers have grown significantly over the past 5 years, and the investment that has happened in the Indian companies, the VC investment that runs into a couple of billions of dollars in the past few years, and more importantly, India has a very massive user base of crypto. Like we have seen multiple reports from Chain Analysis, also clearly saying that India is in the top 3 when it comes to grassroots and number of people who are adopting crypto and who are adopting the blockchain technology, right? So it's one of the biggest market. You will see the largest of the largest crypto companies globally, they have India as their top priority in the business expansion, right? So this country, our home, is one of the biggest crypto markets out there.
And needless to say, if you look behind a lot of these larger projects which have actually made an impact, global impact, a lot of them happen to be Indians, right? So there's a lot for us to be proud of, I guess.
I'm very proud of India, personally.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about DeFi, right? So how did the shift from centralized exchange to a DeFi product, which happens to be a domain of a decentralized exchange, right? Decentralized marketplaces. How did that shift happen? Was this something that you already had in mind? Did you envision that this is how it will move, or it just happened? Tell us something about that.
So if you look at CoinDCX, broadly we are solving 2 problems. If you like zoom out and see what is CoinDCX doing, what are those 500 people doing, on a daily basis, we are solving 2 problems. One is on the CeFi side, we are solving the compliance problems. How to interface with the banks, how will this industry interface with the existing setup that is already there, the governments, various regulators, the Financial Intelligence Unit, FIU, and various bodies जो already exist करती है, right? And also, it also includes education. People who don't know anything about crypto, how would they come into this, right? So on CeFi side, we are mainly solving those kind of problems, and it's led by the compliance issues, because ultimately crypto markets will grow only if new money comes. There is only one way. Like अगर नया पैसा नहीं आएगा, तो this market won't grow. As simple as that. And new money can only come when you solve for the compliance problems, and when you have built great banking rails, when you have when it's easy for people to deposit money, INR or hard INR into the crypto industry, only then this industry will grow. There is no other way. अगर वो बंद है तो industry it cannot grow. I mean, it's very obvious, right?
So see, the interesting thing is he's taken about many seconds to talk about all these challenges, and we typically only hear one word, which is on-ramp and off-ramp, right? But if you dig deeper into on-ramp and off-ramp, this is all that needs to be solved.
Frankly,
right?
like out of 500 people at CoinDCX, 100 लोग यही काम करते हैं कि कैसे ये problem solve कर रहे हैं, and it's a very massive problem.
Let's say ये solve हो गया. So now how does this dovetail into?
Yeah, so this pretty much we have done, and we had to take a lot of business calls, on this one. But happy to say that in the past 3 years, CoinDCX has never suffered INR deposit and withdrawal outage. It has never happened in the last 3 years. And that's a very big achievement, because if you see US, if you see other countries, if you see exchanges within India, it's very difficult to keep this banking channel open, for the industry. And it's the lifeline of the industry, right? So that we have done, and it's a continued exercise. So that is one part of CoinDCX. The another part is, which I mentioned, which I started with, how do you increase the uses of the blockchain technology? Use नहीं होगा तो कुछ नहीं होगा. If people are not using the blockchain-based applications, then forget about tokens going up in prices. Portfolios will remain stagnant. I mean, not a financial advice, but But fundamentals say that if something is used by people, if it is adding value to people's lives, then uska stock upar jata hai. If just loosely
Network
connecting stock
effects.
market with this, yes. If there is no uses of a technology, nothing is going to go up. Like I mentioned, 400 million people who have invested in this asset class. It's just 15 million people who are using it, or not on a daily basis. That's the total ever, right? So this problem needs to be solved. That's the other half. That's what we are trying to solve with Octo, which is built entirely on blockchain. So every user of Octo is essentially on chain directly. They're using blockchain based applications. So that's the other half, which is more of a technology challenge, right? Compliance and on-ramp, off-ramp is less technology and more operations, controls, security, and
Processes.
process, and that's a very matured stuff. We have very senior leaders solving that challenge. Very senior leaders, industry. We have handpicked and we have spent a lot of energies on setting that up. And this is more of a technology challenge because it's at a nascent phase, right? And we want to reach at least, the target is like internal, just sharing internal information. 50 million people we want to onboard from India on the chain. That's the target, and we're moving forward with that.
Wow. Wow. So, if we are to look at the whole technology cycle, right, of any business, so first it starts with the product, it starts with the technology. Now that you have something built, you try and get adoption, you get into marketing, you get into distribution, right? Once you have that and then you grow to a sufficient level, I think that is where compliance and all these regulatory aspects, you start becoming more important to the entire sector, and there's a lot of focus on what you're doing, how you're doing, and then that sort of follows. So I think CoinDCX has gone through this cycle. Okay, let's look at this cycle from a lens of Octo, right? I'm guessing you guys are now building the product, and then you guys are. So tell us something about where you are in this cycle from an Octo lens, and how do you see that shaping up?
So
going
Octo,
forward?
we've started growth for Octo in last 3 months. We have roughly 250,000 users, on Octo, and they are all doing the on-chain activity. So it's a very powerful thing. And now this is one way, right? This is like इसमें growth होती रहेगी. But I'll tell you what I think. There are 1 billion people on the internet. Say there are 1 billion people on the internet who are using internet on a daily basis. They are using some apps on their mobile. Ultimately, any internet user is browsing some kind of app on their mobile phones. Now there is Web3, which is like the next stage of internet, right? So these 1 billion people, they won't move to Web3. Let me tell you, they won't move to Web3. It's pretty clear. Why? Simple thing. For moving one person to use a new product from an existing one, it's a very expensive thing to do. It's a super expensive thing. $100 लगता है. It takes $100. The CAC, of high quality customers on something like that, if you take into account the development cost and everything, it's very expensive. You cannot move 1 billion people to new apps by spending $100 million, $100 billion. That's
No way.
that's not going to happen. So people from Web 2 are not going to shift to Web 3. It is just very expensive. Instead, Web 3 has to go to Web 2.
Right.
That's how it should happen. Web 3 should just get plugged into wherever people are already. That is the more efficient way for mass adoption. That is how more and more people can automatically start using blockchain-based applications. Right? Pata bhi nahi padega. And people will come on chain gradually. So Web 3 has to go to Web 2. Web 2 won't come to Web 3. It's very expensive.
And how is Octo doing this? How is Octo going to Web 2?
Yeah, of course. So, if I'm saying something, I'm doing something about it, right? that I will explain. One is the Octo app, where people can directly participate in the DeFi world, right? Those are the new people. But we are also developing one software development kit, SDK, right? It's a wallet SDK, where any Web2 based application, think of Book My Show, think of Zomato, think of all the Web2 based application. It's a one-day job for a developer at a Web2 application to start accessing blockchain and the power of blockchain and blockchain based applications.
Wow.
That's the power of the SDK that we are coming up. And that's mainly meant to bring mass adoption, onboard 50 million people, right, from India, from the Web2 world, onto the chain. And believe me, that's a very massive fundamental, because 50 million लोग आके अगर on-chain activity कर रहे हैं, whatever protocols they are using, right, you can imagine what happens to the tokens and this overall DeFi world. It's a very powerful signal. So that is the objective that we are building with.
Awesome. So, I'm hearing him say a lot about on-chain activity. I think most of us here are Web3 natives or have some kind of background in Web3. I'll just give you one very small anecdote from our CoinDCX days. We were trying to do an analysis of how many people are trying to do withdrawals, right? Crypto withdrawals. This is in anticipation of the compliance pieces that would come in, right? More than 95% of the people did not do a single withdrawal. They did not know that they can go and actually withdraw crypto assets into their own wallets. And
that's an actual asset. That's an actual stats of CoinDCX user base.
Yeah, so here's the reveal for you guys. And this is very shocking for, for cultures outside of India. If you go to any other exchange in any other country and they say that we are not allowing crypto deposits and withdrawals, the users will create a huge uproar. In India, they sort of celebrate it to say that, okay, they're a more compliant exchange. Of course, there's that small percentage, us, who understand this, but majority of the users, 95% of the users do not care about, unless of course FTX happens, and all of that happened later, right? And then these discussions come in. So that's the reason we've seen a point where there was almost no on-chain transaction to now trying to build, on-chain transactions and to get mass adoption of on-chain transactions, right?
I mean, that's the logical next thing to do in crypto.
All right, so beautiful segue. Now let's go to DeFi. Octo seems to be focusing heavily on DeFi. What is the sort of thesis behind this? Why DeFi? There could be NFTs, there could be gaming, there could be hundreds of other things. Specifically why DeFi, and then how do you see this shaping?
So keep DeFi aside for a while. Think of GameFi. You would have heard of GameFi. Think of SocialFi. Think of TradFi. Think of RegFi. Anything. All the applications of crypto have something to do with Fi. That's for sure. Everything is Fi in crypto. That's for sure. Any industry that crypto touches, it touches the Fi part of crypto, of that industry. Social Fi, game Fi, हर चीज में financial, upgradation. So DeFi is powering that. So basically, DeFi is going to be the heart of Web3. It is the heart of Web3.
Wow.
It's all about, because Web3 is all about, financial upgradation of the existing industries, right? So that's why DeFi is, is essentially the heart, and it needs to be developed. It needs to be, DeFi में लोग, लाने होंगे आपको. So, and DeFi is very powerful. I'll give you some examples. DeFi is permissionless. मतलब, it's an open backend. Open backend. For people who don't understand like a lot of technical stuff, but open backend is a very, very, very powerful thing. It's a very beautiful thing. Like, I create one application, anybody else can use that application without my permission and create something on top of that. Use its goodness and create something on top of that. Somebody else can start using both of these and create something else. So it's a very powerful concept, and that's why it's a very innovative industry, right? So I'll, I'll, I'll tell you this, DeFi will beat CeFi at some point, you know.
A lot of it, yeah, is
It is going to beat CeFi. It is because it's way more cheaper. It's way more cheaper. It's way more innovative in terms of the products, and we can already see that there are. Yesterday, I came across one innovative DeFi application. No loss, no liquidation perpetuals. मतलब आप 50x पे या 10x पे कोई टोकन को मान लो, specifically related to trading, you know, you're going for a long position, and you don't have to fear about the liquidation, you know. So it's a huge these things can just never happen in CeFi. So we all know, like even at CoinDCX, CeFi teams, DeFi teams, everyone agrees that later, of course, at some point in time, DeFi will. But you know, ऐसा नहीं होगा कि again people will not move from CeFi to DeFi. DeFi will go to CeFi. The CeFi apps that we see today, they will have DeFi within them. That is how it's going to happen. It's not going to be the other way around. ऐसा नहीं होगा कि customers stop using CeFi one day and migrate to DeFi. That's very expensive. Yeah.
So today there was another panel on institutions and how institutions are coming into crypto. It's pretty much the same story, right? Those are the 450 trillion guys, and we are the 1.6 trillion guys. Even the institutions within crypto. The one thing that was very interesting to note there was a gentleman who was representing State Street. He happened to say that they are looking at the likes of FalconX, they are looking at the likes of Gemini for offering their institutional services, either banking or different kinds of services to the crypto players. And of course, they are also very keen to learn more about this. They have a specialized technology arm, a thought leadership and R&D arm trying to get into all of this. So I completely agree with you. I think the CeFi, DeFi will have to go to CeFi, but CeFi is also trying to come to DeFi. So somewhere that middle ground is going to happen. Yeah. Final, I think time's up, but last 2 minutes, Neeraj, you mentioned that, DeFi is going to sort of continue and grow, and all of this is going to happen. Let's talk about specifically the challenges. Now, in that cycle that I explained, we get to the point where, let's say, there is now growth and there are compliance challenges, regulatory challenges. We are somewhere over there. There are a lot of discussions happening around stablecoin regulations, around DeFi, around all of this, which are already happening, right? And will very soon be hit with those very closely. So how do you see, Octo, and how do you see yourself navigate those challenges? What are your thoughts around compliance, for instance? How are you guys? Are you preparing Octo to be in anticipation of some compliance, for instance?
Yeah, this industry has a lot of challenges, right? It's not easy. I mean, a lot of times I just cannot sleep throughout the night. It just happens, and in last 365 days, I have not slept for at least 100 nights. And 265 nights I have slept well.
Whoa.
So that's because इतने challenges है, and कुछ एक चीज़ होती है, उसको solve करो, दूसरी चीज़ आ जाती है, right? So it just keeps happening. You have to take care of a lot of things. But I'm thankful to the CoinDCX and Octo team. They like the team is very strong, and we are able to deal with most of the challenges. Like I mentioned, CoinDCX has INR deposit and withdrawal, the best fiat on-ramp and off-ramp, best fiat rails, not just in India, but globally. It's the best. And so that has been possible because we have a 25 people compliance team, who has ensured that there are no illegal activities happening via CoinDCX and Octo. And that's super important, right? So and then we have a security team, which constantly keeps watch, employing latest technologies to make sure that everything is safe on the platform, right? And then we have operations team, right? So whatever challenges we face in the industry, compliance or otherwise, we solve them by putting the best people, for the job, right? And it just happens that India has a great talent. You can find great, amazing people in India to work with you as a team, and I'm personally very proud of this country because there's so many talented people who can achieve really great things. I've seen that and experience, so it's huge.
So you're not worried about compliance issues?
I am
No,
worried.
because
I'm worried, but not worried, but it's like the compliance is fine as long as government keeps saying ki do this and do that, it's fine, right? The problem arises when the government does not say anything. That is when the problem comes, because that's when you see that what to do. You don't even know what to do, right? And it's very challenging situation. But now, in the last 1 year, Indian government, various departments and regulatory bodies are pretty active. They're pretty active. At least CoinDCX, we have access to so many authorities, and we can work with them. Just simple example, we didn't have access to the central KYC of India 1 year ago. कुछ जुगाड़ करके KYC करना पड़ता था, right? And now we have access to e-KYC, central KYC, and so many things, which helps keep the industry secure. So just one example, right? So I'm not worried. Actually, I'm excited that the things are going in the right direction.
And the global perspective of regulations on DeFi outside of India?
It's happening. You see, UAE. There are two regulatory authorities in UAE. One is VARA, right, and one is ADGM. So ADGM has already published something on DeFi. VARA is actively looking at DeFi. That's just one example. And multiple other jurisdictions have said something or the other, and they're working towards.
So you will look for jurisdictions that have clarity, that have some say on DeFi, and then go and manage those compliance pieces, and then sort of then take it.
Frankly, not, because where there is a clarity, it's good, right? But where there is no clarity, it does not mean we won't go there. It's just difficult. But we started in India when there was zero clarity, so that's something we already know how to do.
Sure. All right. I think that's it from our side. Thank you so much, guys, for your patience. You guys can.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Lunch.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Neeraj. Thank you, Manhar.